Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this sales funnel management tutorial, you're going to learn about the 5 key leverage points to focus on, to analyze and optimize when it comes to improving your sales funnel's conversion numbers. So make sure you check out the timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful videos that takes a really deep dive into how to put together a high converting landing page, along with click-by-click tutorials on how to set up all of these pages as well, if it turns out you need to switch software. So as we dive in here, let's go ahead and go through 3 keys to success when it comes to actually optimizing and managing your sales funnel to make sure you're not making any of these common mistakes. And the first key to success is making sure that your split tests are big, and I mean really big. So if you just want to think about any step in your sales funnel process where you're going to be doing any sort of split testing, whether it's your emails, your landing page, part of your sales copy, something on your shopping cart page, you want the change to be very big. So because you want to think of the middle as your optimum point, right? But the problem is you don't know where the middle is when you're just starting out. So you have 2 options. Number 1, you can make micro adjustments where you make A and then A 1.1, A 1.2, 1.3, or you can make A and then you can make Z. And if you find out A works better, you can turn off Z and then try Y, and maybe Y works better than A. You turn off A and then you try B, and you're actually going to find the center and the optimum point of whatever you're split testing a lot faster when you're doing giant split tests. So make sure your split tests aren't small or micro, they are big, especially when you're just getting started. Now the second key to success is making sure that you're only testing one variable. And this is a trap that a lot of new funnel builders fall into. So we'll use the example of advertising, but this is actually going to apply to your entire funnel. So let's say you're trying a couple different advertising sources and then you're sending traffic to a landing page. You know that you should be split testing your landing page, so you're split testing your landing page. Great on the surface, but the problem is there's actually 2 variables being tested. You're actually testing your traffic source and you're testing your landing page. So you have 2 variables going on at once, and it's going to be really, really hard, or late night with a spreadsheet, to figure out which combination of ads and traffic source works with which landing page, A or B. So a better option is to actually create a separate landing page, even if everything in the rest of your funnel is the same, for each traffic source, and then split test based on each traffic source. And you definitely want to do this even if you're using one traffic source and you're just trying different campaigns. Again, we want to do big split tests. So if we have campaign A and campaign B and we're testing things inside the campaigns, then they should have their own landing pages so they're not interfering with each other with the split test. Now the third key to success is making sure that you reach statistical significance with everything that you're doing in your funnel. A classic example is every other client we have, some version of this where they call us up or they send us an email and they say, hey, I think we should change this, or I think we should change that. You go like, yeah, maybe, but we've only had 700 impressions on your ad. So we probably need a couple more impressions, a couple more clicks, and a couple more views before we do anything. So here is a basic bare minimum if you're on a budget. Ideally, you'd want 1,000 clicks, impressions, submissions, views, but I understand we are all on a different budget, so at the absolute minimum for your traffic, you need 1,000 impressions or 100 clicks. You need 100 submissions on your landing page before you make any changes, 500 opens per email, not your total sequence, and then at least 500 people have hit your sales page at least once. And then for your shopping cart, wait till you have 1,000. Shopping cart is one of the last things you should be testing. So let's start with the first part of your funnel that you should be testing, and that is your advertising to landing page relationship. So the first thing you want to look at is your click-through rate. You want to look at your ads and how much you're paying per click. We'll get to cost per conversion in a second, but just look at your advertising, look at how much you're paying, how many clicks you're getting, how many impressions you're getting, and if you're happy with those numbers. If you're not happy with those numbers, then this is the first place to start before you make any changes down the road. So we're just kind of going to go through each step of your funnel to make sure that things are working, and if something's not, then that's the leverage point. That's where you should analyze and optimize. Now, if you're not happy with your clicks or you're not getting enough impressions, what you want to do is turn off all but one campaign and focus and put all your budget in that campaign until it's working, or until you determine that it's not going to work. And this is just really important to make sure that you have a consistent traffic source and flow of traffic through the rest of your funnel, because if people aren't going through your funnel, it's kind of hard to split test everything else. Now, if you have good clicks and you're not happy with the submission rate or opt-in rate on your landing page, then this is where you're going to want to start to look at your cost per conversion and your landing page conversion rate. Because if your clicks are good, that means whatever's going on with your campaign and advertising is working. Awesome. But then they hit the landing page and all of a sudden there's a disconnect. So there are a couple things we want to look at on your landing page to make sure that it's actually optimized for conversions. And the very first one is technical. So if you have Google Analytics set up, you want to go look at your bounce rate statistics to make sure that your page is actually loading within a few seconds. Because one of the most common mistakes that we can make is creating a landing page, having this beautiful looking thing, and then it takes 5 seconds to load and people just get bored and bounce off. So looking at your bounce rates on your landing page and then testing your page speed will ensure that people are actually getting to see the content on the landing page. And then if people are seeing the content and they're still not opting in, then you want to take a look and make sure that there are no extra links, there's nothing distracting people from entering their name and email. Maybe you're asking for too much information and you just need to go down to just an email instead of a name, an email, and then some other business information. And then the final thing you want to do is look at your headline. So once all that technical stuff is out of the way and the design stuff is out of the way, it really comes down to your headline. And so if you're still having trouble with your landing page, you keep trying different things, then actually try switching to a squeeze page. Now, all a squeeze page is a landing page without all the fancy stuff. You pretty much just have a headline, an optional subheadline, an image, and an opt-in box, and that's it. And the reason you might want to go that route if you're not happy with how your landing page is performing is because it allows you to really zero in and A/B split test two different squeeze pages where the only difference is the headline, where nothing else can get distracted, nothing else is in the way. And so when one headline performs better than the other, you can move forward with a lot more confidence that it's actually the headline because it's this basic squeeze page and really the only element on there is a headline. And as you can see from this sample graphic, I really recommend having a lot of headlines written before you start split testing. And of course, make sure that their headlines are really big. So here you can see that there are micro headlines here, but the two different types of headlines are very different. So what we do is we would test the first two against each other, and then whichever one won would represent the line we would keep going down with headlines. And so once you have zeroed in on your landing page, you're happy with what's going on, then the next part of your process is actually taking a look at your emails. Now, of course, your emails are what you're going to be using to drive people from whatever your lead magnet was or your landing page to your sales offer. And even if you have a funnel where someone opts in and they immediately see your sales message, don't worry too much about whatever the take rate or conversion rate is for cold people. It's always going to be lower when someone enters their name and email and then is immediately asked to buy. And so if you're looking at fixing your funnel, trying to increase that immediate buy is not necessarily the best place to spend your time. You actually want to spend time on your emails and getting all those people who didn't immediately buy back to the sales page and really building up the value and benefits of whatever your offer is. Now, when it comes to your emails, you actually just want to focus on your subject lines and not worry so much about how many sales an individual email generated, especially if you're using only 500 opens as your sample size. Once you get more advanced, you'll actually start looking at how many sales a specific email generated, irrespective of your open rate. But for now, just focus on the open rate. Don't worry about the click-through rate on the actual emails, because that's something that you're going to want to do when you're going through a second time through your funnel. Because the first time you just want to 80-20, fix the big things. You can always get more detailed later. We're just doing big split tests right now. So what you want to do is A/B test all your different subject lines, and you want to do this if you're getting a lot of people who are opting in but not actually getting to the landing page, getting to the sales page. If your sales page has low sales and you're driving a lot of traffic to it, well, then we'll get to that in a moment. But this is really just for bridging the gap between number of people who opted in and number of people who see your sales message. And speaking of sales message, that's the next place to look. We really just go down here. So if you have a text-based sales letter, you're going to want to look at duration, and Google Analytics will actually help you out with this. And then if you have a lot of traffic coming to your text-based sales letter, and I mean at least 2,000 to 3,000 people. Then it might make sense to use a tool called Crazy Egg, which will actually give you a heat map of where people are on the actual page. But in the beginning, we can just keep it simple and look at page duration and how far down people are scrolling to get a good understanding of where in the sales process people are actually stopping. And again, you probably want anywhere from 500 to almost 1,000 people to hit this page before you start making any major changes. And that's just because you need the number of occurrences in order to have statistical significance with your decisions that you're making. And you're going to want to follow the same principle if you have a video sales letter. And that might actually be easier because you can match the duration to your video. You don't really have to worry about how fast or slow people are reading. And your video software, whether you're using Vimeo or Wistia, will tell you exactly how people engage with your video, especially if you're doing a replay page where people can skip around. Now, the final part of your funnel, of course, is going to be the shopping cart. And this is the absolute last thing that you should play with. I know it's counter to some advice you may have heard elsewhere, but really at this point, this is like trying to optimize the 1 yard line, like right before you score the goal, right before you're going to score a touchdown. And it's just honestly a waste of time for 9.9 out of 10 business owners and funnel builders. Everything else is going to make such a bigger difference when it comes to actually getting the conversion. But let's say you have 1,000 or 2 people who've hit your shopping cart. What you want to make sure on your shopping cart page is first answer the question, would I enter my credit card information on this? Because I'm sure you've seen checkout pages before where you really want the product, but man, does that page look sketchy. So you just want to pass that gut test for yourself as objectively as you can to your shopping cart page. And of course, you can do things like use PayPal or another popular payment processor like Stripe, Braintree, or even Amazon now, depending upon the type of product that you're selling. And so that you can kind of increase that trustworthiness of your page. You can also make sure you have your security and guarantee seals if there's any sort of guarantee, and just let people know it's 128 or 256-bit encryption, whatever it is. Definitely just don't make it up because you can get in trouble for that. And then you can also split test whether or not you have a video of yourself, or you can do video testimonials or just have text-based testimonials. And those are the types of things you really want to make sure with your shopping cart. But really, that's kind of the cherry on top. Everything else is going to be infinitely more important than whatever you do with the shopping cart. So that does it for the 5 key leverage points to analyze and optimize in managing your sales funnel. I'm curious what you think of this list, and anything you think that I've missed, go ahead and comment below with your questions and insights, because whatever you have to offer is going to be really helpful to other funnel builders and entrepreneurs in figuring out how to optimize their sales funnels and of course increase their sales. So thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive marketing tutorials just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.